Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are in a battle, a war that isn't fought with weapons, but with choices. The battle between strength and weakness, between discipline and comfort, between pushing forward and giving in. And here's the harsh truth: most people lose this battle before they even begin to fight. They wake up and immediately choose the easy way. They hit snooze instead of getting up with discipline. They reach for their phone instead of focusing on their mission. They tell themselves they will change tomorrow instead of taking action today. Weakness does not announce itself loudly. It does not scream in your face or force you to give up. It whispers, it disguises itself as comfort. It makes excuses sound reasonable. It convinces you that skipping one workout doesn't matter, that taking a break from your goals is okay, that waiting until next week, next month, or next year is the right decision. But strength is different. Strength does not whisper, it demands, it challenges, it pushes. Strength does not accept laziness, excuses, or hesitation. Strength forces you to move when you want to stay still. It tells you to push harder when everything in you is screaming to quit. This war between strength and weakness is happening inside you right now. It happens in your decisions, in your habits, in your mindset. And the outcome of this battle does not just determine how you feel today, it determines the kind of person you become. It determines your future. Think about this. Why is it that some people rise to greatness while others remain average? Why do some people achieve incredible things while others stay stuck in mediocrity? It is not talent. It is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is the ability to win the battle against weakness. The ability to choose strength every single day, no matter how hard it gets. Most people never realize how much power they actually have. They tell themselves they are not disciplined, that they are not strong enough, that they were just not born with the ability to push through. But that is a lie. Mental strength is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Just like a muscle, it grows with every challenge, every hardship, every test of willpower that you face. But here is the part that most people do not want to hear. If you do not actively train strength, weakness will take over. If you do not intentionally build discipline, comfort will creep in. And once you allow weakness to control your life, getting it back becomes much harder. So ask yourself, are you training your mind for strength or for weakness? Every decision you make either reinforces discipline or builds bad habits. Every time you procrastinate, you are strengthening weakness. Every time you quit early, you are giving more power to laziness. Every time you take the easy path, you are allowing weakness to take control. But every time you push through, every time you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, every time you reject weakness and choose discipline, you are becoming unstoppable. You are rewiring your mind for greatness. In this video, we are going to break down exactly how to destroy mental weakness, how to reprogram your mind for discipline, and how to build unshakable resilience. We are going to expose the modern world's war against discipline and why so many people today are mentally weak. We are going to break down the science behind willpower and how to rewire your brain for absolute strength. We will talk about the rituals of the world's most disciplined people and how you can adopt them in your own life. But understand this, no one can do this for you. No one can force you to change. No one can make you disciplined. You have to decide right now, in this moment, that you will no longer allow weakness to control your life. Because from this moment forward, you are either on the path to strength or the path to weakness. There is no in-between. There is no neutral ground. So ask yourself, which path are you choosing? And if you are ready to destroy weakness and build an unstoppable mind, then keep watching. Because this is where everything changes. Everywhere you look, the modern world is breeding weakness. It is not just happening by accident, it is happening by design. Society has conditioned people to avoid struggle, to seek comfort at all costs, and to fear anything that requires effort. From the moment you wake up, you are surrounded by distractions that pull you away from discipline and self-mastery. Social media, endless entertainment, fast food, instant gratification. Everything is designed to make you weaker, softer, and more dependent. Think about it. 100 years ago, life demanded discipline. If you did not work, you did not eat. If you did not train, you were vulnerable. If you were not mentally strong, the world would break you. But today, weakness is not only accepted, it is encouraged. Everything is designed to make life as easy as possible, to remove struggle completely. And in the process, it is stripping people of their resilience, their focus, and their inner strength. Technology is the biggest weapon in this war against discipline. It has created an entire generation addicted to stimulation, unable to sit in silence, unable to focus on a single task for more than a few minutes. Every time you scroll through your phone, every time you switch from one app to another, every time you let notifications dictate your attention, you are training your brain for distraction. And the more distracted you are, the weaker your willpower becomes. Entertainment is another weapon. Look at how much time people waste watching shows, playing video games, and consuming content that adds nothing to their growth. There is nothing wrong with entertainment in moderation, but most people do not use it in moderation. They use it as an escape from their responsibilities, from their goals, from the uncomfortable truth that they are wasting their potential. But the biggest killer of discipline, comfort. Society tells you that if something is hard, you should avoid it, that struggle is bad, that pain should be eliminated, that you should always choose the easy way. And that is why most people never push themselves. That is why they stay in the same place year after year, wondering why nothing is changing. Because they have been programmed to avoid discomfort, not realizing that discomfort is the very thing that makes you stronger. What are the consequences of this weakness? Look around. Anxiety, depression, insecurity, a complete lack of purpose. People are more anxious than ever because they have never developed the resilience to handle real stress. They crumble at the first sign of adversity because they have never had to push through hardship. They live in fear, constantly doubting themselves because they have never trained their minds to be independent and unshakable. Weakness leads to dependence. When you do not have discipline, you rely on external factors to control your life. You rely on motivation, which fades. You rely on others to push you, which makes you dependent. You rely on society to tell you what to do, which makes you a follower instead of a leader. And the moment you rely on something outside of yourself for strength, you have already lost. If you do not take control of your own mind, someone else will. If you do not build discipline, the world will keep you weak. That is why it is crucial to recognize the forces working against you. So ask yourself, how many times have you let these forces control your life? How many times have you wasted hours on your phone instead of working on your goals? How many times have you skipped the gym because it was easier to sit at home? How many times have you chosen comfort over the pain that would make you stronger? The modern world does not want you to be disciplined. It does not want you to be powerful. It does not want you to be in control. Because the moment you take back control, the moment you reject weakness and embrace discipline, you become unstoppable. You become a threat to everything designed to keep you small. So what are you going to do? Are you going to let the world make you weak? Or are you going to wake up and fight back? Are you going to let distraction, entertainment, and comfort dictate your future? Or are you going to take control and build a mind so strong that nothing can break it? The choice is yours, but understand this. If you do nothing, if you continue living the way society wants you to live, nothing will change. You will stay weak. You will stay distracted. You will stay trapped. But if you make the decision right now to start training your mind, to start eliminating distractions, to start embracing discomfort, you will set yourself on a path that only a few ever walk. The path of discipline, the path of strength, the path of true power, Because at the end of the day, the world will not hand you discipline, it will not hand you success, it will not hand you strength. You have to take it, you have to fight for it. You have to earn it every single day. Now the question is, are you ready to fight, or are you going to stay weak? Every single day, people are breaking under pressure. They are giving up, making excuses, and accepting weakness as their reality. They convince themselves that they are not strong enough, not disciplined enough, not capable enough. But where does this weakness come from? Why do some people push through adversity while others fold at the first sign of struggle? The truth is, weakness is not something you are born with. It is something that is programmed into you over time. From a young age, people are conditioned to avoid struggle. Parents, teachers, and society constantly reinforce the idea that discomfort should be avoided. If something is difficult, quit. If something feels overwhelming, take the easy way out. If something does not work immediately, move on to something else. Over time, these messages become hardwired into the brain. People develop a pattern of quitting before they even give themselves a real chance to succeed. Fear plays a massive role in this. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of looking foolish in front of others. Most people do not even attempt to push themselves because they are terrified of what might happen if they fail. But failure itself is not the problem. The problem is how people react to it. The mentally weak see failure as proof that they are not good enough. The mentally strong see failure as proof that they are pushing their limits. The difference between success and mediocrity is not talent or intelligence, it is how you handle failure. Doubt is another weapon that keeps people weak. It whispers in your ear every time you try to do something difficult. It tells you that you are not ready, that you are not capable, that you should not even bother trying. But here is the thing about doubt, it only has power if you listen to it. The most successful people in the world feel doubt just like everyone else, but they refuse to let it control them. They push forward anyway. They take action despite the fear. They prove to themselves, over and over again, that they are stronger than their doubts. Laziness is the final piece of the puzzle. Weak people give in to laziness because they have been programmed to believe that comfort is the goal. They wake up late, hit the snooze button, skip workouts, waste hours on social media, all because it is easier than doing the hard work required to improve. But every time you give in to laziness, you reinforce the habit. But it will not be easy. It will take effort, pain, and discipline. You will have to face your fears head-on. You will have to break old habits and replace them with new ones. You will have to push yourself in ways you never have before. But if you are willing to do that, if you are willing to put in the work, you will develop a mindset so strong that nothing can break you. And once you do that, you will realize something powerful. The battle is not against the world. It is not against other people. The only battle that matters is the one inside your own mind, the war between weakness and strength. And the side that wins, that is entirely up to you. Strength is not built in moments of comfort. It is not created through ease, relaxation, or convenience. True strength, unshakable, undeniable strength, is forged in fire. It is created through hardship, through struggle, through relentless pressure that breaks the weak and hardens the strong. The greatest warriors, the most resilient leaders, the most unstoppable minds in history were not born that way. They were shaped by adversity. They were tested by life and refused to be broken. And the reason most people will never reach that level of power is because they spend their lives avoiding struggle instead of embracing it. Look at the strongest individuals in history. The warriors who led armies against impossible odds. The survivors who endured unimaginable suffering and came out even stronger. The leaders who carried entire nations on their backs during times of chaos and uncertainty. They were not given an easy path. They did not have the luxury of comfort. Instead, they faced obstacles that would have crushed the average person. But instead of running, instead of breaking, they endured. They fought through it. They adapted, learned, and became stronger than anyone thought possible. Think about the great samurai of Japan. These were men who lived by a strict code, trained in extreme conditions, and prepared for battle every single day. They did not live soft lives. They did not seek comfort. They deliberately put themselves through hardship so that when real challenges came, they were already prepared. They understood that suffering was not something to be feared, it was something to be mastered. And because of that, they became legendary. Look at the warriors of Sparta. From birth, they were trained to endure pain, to withstand suffering, to push past their limits. Their entire society was built around the idea that strength was the only path to survival. Weakness was not tolerated. They trained in brutal conditions, fought against overwhelming odds, and lived with a mindset that made them some of the most feared fighters in history. They did not complain. They did not seek an easier way. They accepted suffering as part of their existence, and that is why they became unstoppable. History is filled with stories like these. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, enduring brutal conditions, yet emerged with a mind sharper than ever, ready to lead an entire nation. Theodore Roosevelt, a sickly child, pushed his body to the limit, training himself to become one of the toughest and most disciplined leaders in history. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Roman emperors, faced war, disease, and betrayal, yet maintained a level of mental strength that has been studied for thousands of years. All of these men had one thing in common: they faced hardship, and instead of breaking, they used it to build an unbreakable mind. But here is the problem with modern society: most people have never faced real hardship. Most people have never been tested. They have never experienced true struggle. Instead, they have been shielded from discomfort, protected from pain, and told that suffering should be avoided at all costs. And because of that, they are weak. The smallest inconvenience throws them off course. The slightest failure makes them quit. They lack resilience because they have never had to build it. But here is the truth: struggle is the greatest teacher. Pain is the greatest motivator. Suffering is the forge that turns ordinary people into legends. Every time you go through hardship, you have two choices. You can let it break you, or you can let it make you stronger. The weak complain, make excuses, and give up. The strong adapt, push forward, and use the pain to their advantage. This is why so few people ever become truly powerful, because the path to power is paved with suffering, and most people are not willing to walk that road. So how do you develop an unbreakable mind? You seek out discomfort instead of running from it. You put yourself in difficult situations on purpose. You train your body and mind to handle pain. You push past your limits every single day. You stop avoiding the hard things and start embracing them. The more hardship you willingly take on, the more resilient you become. The more you challenge yourself, the stronger you get. The strongest people are not the ones who have had the easiest lives. They are the ones who have been tested the most. They are the ones who have endured suffering and refused to let it destroy them. They are the ones who understand that hardship is not a curse, it is a gift. Because every time you overcome something difficult, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Look at your life right now. Where are you avoiding struggle? Where are you choosing comfort over growth? Where are you letting hardship break you instead of make you stronger? These are the questions you need to ask yourself. Because the truth is, the only way to become unbreakable is to face the fire and refuse to let it consume you. Most people will never do this. Most people will spend their lives avoiding hardship, staying weak, and wondering why they never achieved anything great. But a few will understand the truth. A few will embrace the struggle. A few will take every ounce of pain, every moment of suffering, and use it as fuel to become unstoppable. The choice is yours. Will you be one of the weak who run from hardship, Or will you be one of the few who use it to build an unbreakable mind? Pain is not your enemy. Weakness is. Yet most people spend their entire lives running from pain, avoiding discomfort, and choosing the easiest possible path. They have been conditioned to believe that pain is something to fear, something to escape, something that must be numbed at all costs. But this is a lie. Pain is not what destroys people. Weakness does. The real danger is not hardship, not struggle, not suffering. The real danger is avoiding it. Because every time you run from pain, you get weaker. Every time you avoid discomfort, you lose a piece of your own strength. And before you even realize it, you become soft, fragile, and incapable of handling even the smallest adversity. Look at the world around you. Everywhere you turn, people are running from pain. They distract themselves with entertainment, drown their discomfort in food, alcohol, or meaningless pleasures, and avoid anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. They convince themselves that life should be easy, that struggle should be avoided, and that happiness comes from constant pleasure. But deep down, they know the truth. They know they are weaker than they should be. They know they have settled for less than they are capable of. They know they are living in fear of the very thing that could make them powerful. Pain is not a curse. It is a gift. It is the force that transforms the weak into the strong. It is the fire that forges greatness. Every person who has ever achieved anything significant has been shaped by pain. Every warrior, every leader, every unstoppable individual in history has endured suffering, hardship, and struggle. And instead of breaking under it, they used it. They took their pain and turned it into fuel. They let it sharpen their minds, strengthen their bodies, and harden their spirits. But most people will never do this. Most people will continue to fear pain. They will continue to run from it. They will continue to hide behind excuses, distractions, and comfort. And as a result, they will never become what they were meant to be. They will never reach their full potential. They will live their entire lives avoiding the very thing that could have made them powerful. So the question is, why do people fear pain so much? The answer is simple, because they have never been taught how to handle it. From the moment you were born, you were told to avoid pain. You were told that if something is uncomfortable, you should stop doing it. You were told that struggle is bad, that failure is embarrassing, that hardship should be avoided. And so, instead of learning how to use pain, you learned how to escape it. Instead of seeing it as a tool, you saw it as something to fear. But here is the truth. Pain is the most powerful teacher you will ever have. It exposes your weaknesses. It forces you to grow. It breaks you down so you can rebuild yourself stronger. It is the ultimate test of who you really are. And the moment you stop fearing pain and start embracing it, everything changes. Imagine a man who has never pushed his body to its limits. A man who has never trained through exhaustion, never endured hunger, never pushed himself past his breaking point. That man is weak. He has no resilience, no endurance, no real strength. The moment he faces real hardship, he will crumble. But now imagine a man who has embraced pain, a man who has trained in the cold, in the rain, in the darkest hours of the night, a man who has faced exhaustion and kept going, a man who has suffered and used that suffering to make himself stronger. That man is unbreakable. He does not fear pain. He does not run from discomfort. He welcomes it. This is the mindset you must adopt. Stop seeing pain as something to avoid. Start seeing it as something to use. Every time you feel discomfort, remind yourself that this is how you grow. Every time you face struggle, tell yourself that this is how you become stronger. Every time you are tempted to quit, push even harder, because the people who succeed in life are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who learned how to take pain and turn it into power. Think about the greatest athletes in the world, the ones who train every single day, pushing their bodies to the absolute limit. Do you think they enjoy the pain? Do you think they wake up every morning excited to suffer? No, but they do it anyway. because they know that pain is the price of greatness. They know that every rep, every mile, every drop of sweat is making them stronger. Think about the greatest minds in history, the inventors, the thinkers, the creators who changed the world. Do you think their journey was easy? Do you think they never faced failure, doubt, or suffering? Of course they did. But instead of letting that pain stop them, they used it as motivation to keep going. They understood that the only way to achieve something extraordinary is to be willing to endure extraordinary struggle. And now, it is your turn. You must make a choice. You can continue living like everyone else, avoiding pain, choosing comfort, staying weak. Or you can do what so few people are willing to do. You can embrace the struggle. You can seek out discomfort. You can train yourself to endure pain and use it as a weapon. Because once you do that, once you stop fearing pain and start welcoming it, you will become unstoppable. Think about the last time you gave up on something because it was too hard. The last time you made an excuse to avoid doing something difficult. The last time you backed down because you were afraid of failure. Now imagine if you had done the opposite. Imagine if you had pushed through. Imagine if you had refused to quit. Where would you be now? How much stronger, how much further, how much greater would you be? This is your wake-up call. Pain is not your enemy, weakness is. And every time you run from pain, you feed that weakness. But every time you embrace it, every time you push through it, every time you refuse to let it control you, you get stronger. You take back your power, you become the kind of person who cannot be stopped. So the next time you feel discomfort, lean into it. The next time you are tempted to quit, keep going. The next time you face failure, use it as fuel. Because pain is not something to be feared. It is something to be mastered. And once you master it, there is nothing in this world that can break you. Many people walk through life thinking they are strong. They put on a tough exterior, talk a big game, and try to convince the world that they have everything under control. But the moment life truly tests them, they break. The moment they face real adversity, their confidence crumbles. The truth is, most people who appear strong are only pretending. They have built an image of confidence, but they have never built true mental toughness. And that is why they fail when it matters most. In today's world, fake confidence is everywhere. Social media is filled with people who act like they have everything figured out. They post pictures of luxury, success, and a perfect life. They speak with boldness, as if they have conquered every challenge. But when the cameras are off and the attention fades, they are lost. Their confidence was never real. It was built on validation, approval, and image. And that is why they constantly need people to see them as strong. They need likes, comments, and recognition to feel powerful. But the moment life gets hard, when no one is watching, when there is no audience to impress, they collapse. True mental toughness is the opposite. It does not need attention. It does not need validation. It does not need an audience. People who are truly unbreakable do not talk about how strong they are. They prove it through their actions. They do not need to show off their resilience because they live it every single day. While others post about their success, they are silently putting in the work. While others chase recognition, they are training, learning, and growing. While others need motivation, they have already built the discipline to keep moving forward. The biggest difference between fake confidence and true mental toughness is this: confidence can be faked, but discipline cannot. Confidence is an act. It can be put on and taken off depending on the situation. But discipline is real. Discipline is built through suffering, through hardship, through relentless self-mastery. No one can fake discipline. No one can pretend to have mental toughness when they are truly tested. When things get hard, only those who have trained themselves for battle will survive. Think about the people who inspire real respect. They are not the loudest ones in the room. They do not need to constantly prove themselves. They walk with quiet strength. They have nothing to prove because they know who they are. And when life challenges them, they do not panic. They do not make excuses. They do not look for a way out. They face it head on. Now, look at the people who claim to be confident but have never been tested. When things go wrong, they crumble. When pressure hits, they start making excuses. When life does not go their way, they blame others. And when there was no external reward, most people cannot, because most people have only built surface-level confidence. They have built their self-worth on things that can be taken away. But those who have built true mental toughness can survive anything, because their strength is real. It is not about appearance. It is not about validation. It is about who they have become through discipline and struggle. There is a reason why the strongest warriors in history did not boast about their strength. There is a reason why the most powerful leaders did not need to convince others of their power. They had nothing to prove. They were tested in battle, tested in hardship, tested through pain. And because of that, they knew exactly who they were. If you want to become truly unbreakable, you must stop focusing on how you appear and start focusing on what you are made of. You must stop chasing validation and start chasing self-mastery. You must stop seeking recognition and start seeking real strength. This means training when no one is watching. This means building discipline even when it is uncomfortable. This means pushing yourself beyond your limits every single day. Fake confidence will make you feel powerful for a moment, but real mental toughness will make you unstoppable for a lifetime. The choice is yours. You can keep pretending to be strong, or you can do the hard work to actually become it. You can keep chasing approval, or you can build the kind of discipline that does not need it. You can keep playing the game of appearances, or you can step into a level of power that does not require validation. At the end of the day, the world will always separate the pretenders from the real warriors. Hardship will always expose those who have only built an illusion of strength. The only question is, when that moment comes, will you stand or will you fall? Will you be the person who breaks under pressure or the one who rises above it? You must decide right now. Stop chasing fake confidence. Stop seeking external approval. Stop living for validation and start building something real. Start training your mind to endure anything. Start embracing struggle as the path to power. Start living in a way that does not require anyone else's recognition. Because once you do that, once you build true mental toughness, once you develop unshakable discipline, you will never have to prove yourself to anyone again. Your actions will speak for you, your resilience will be undeniable, and you will become the kind of person that nothing in this world can break. Your brain is the most powerful weapon you have, but most people never use it to its full potential. They let their thoughts control them instead of mastering their minds. They allow comfort to dictate their actions instead of training themselves for resilience. They believe that strength is something they either have or do not have, when in reality, mental toughness is something that can be built, trained, and rewired. The truth is, the brain adapts to whatever you expose it to. If you consistently choose comfort, your brain will seek it out. If you avoid hardship, your brain will become conditioned to run from struggle. If you constantly give in to distractions, your brain will lose its ability to focus. This is why most people never develop real strength. They never push themselves beyond their current limits. They stay inside their comfort zones, avoiding pain, avoiding challenge, avoiding growth. And because of that, they remain weak, dependent, and easily broken. But just as the brain can be programmed for weakness, it can also be reprogrammed for absolute strength. It all comes down to what you expose yourself to, what you practice daily, and what you are willing to endure. The brain thrives on repetition. Whatever you do consistently, your brain will accept as normal. This means if you consistently train discipline, resilience, and self-mastery, your brain will become wired for it. Strength will become your default state. Toughness will become automatic, and nothing will be able to break you. The most powerful way to rewire your mind for strength is through controlled suffering. Exposing yourself to discomfort on purpose forces your brain to adapt. It teaches your mind that pain is not the enemy, but a tool for transformation. This is why the strongest warriors, the most disciplined athletes, and the most successful individuals all have one thing in common. They do hard things every single day. They push themselves into discomfort so that nothing in life can shake them. Cold showers are one of the simplest ways to train your brain for resilience. When you force yourself to endure the shock of cold water, your mind learns to stay calm under stress. Your brain stops panicking at discomfort and instead learns to face it with strength. At first, it feels unbearable, but over time, your body adapts. Your mind stops resisting, and soon, what once felt painful becomes routine. This is how mental toughness is built, by pushing through discomfort until it no longer controls you. Fasting is another powerful method to rewire your brain. Most people are slaves to their hunger. The moment they feel the slightest discomfort, they reach for food. They have never trained themselves to endure hunger, to have control over their impulses, to dominate their cravings. But when you fast, you teach your mind that you are in control, not your body. You prove to yourself that you do not need to give in to every urge. You learn to function at a high level, even when your body is uncomfortable. And once you master this, you become unstoppable because you are no longer controlled by temporary desires. Intense physical training is one of the most powerful tools for rewiring the mind. When you push your body past exhaustion, past weakness, past the point where most people quit, you send a message to your brain: I am stronger than my limitations. Every rep, every sprint, every push beyond your comfort zone trains your mind to handle adversity. And this does not just apply to physical strength, it applies to every challenge in life. When your brain is used to pushing through pain in training, it knows how to push through pain in any situation. Reprogramming your mind for strength is not a one-time event. It is not something you do once and then forget about. It is a daily process, a lifelong commitment to becoming unbreakable. The difference between the weak and the strong is simple. The weak avoid struggle, the strong seek it out. The weak let discomfort break them, the strong let discomfort forge them. The weak run from pain, the strong use pain as fuel. This is why most people never change. They are waiting for life to get easier instead of making themselves stronger. But if you truly want to transform, if you truly want to reach your full potential, you have to stop waiting. You have to take control of your mind, your habits, your actions. You have to expose yourself to suffering on purpose so that when life throws hardship your way, you are already prepared. If you do not rewire your brain for strength, the world will program it for weakness. Society will condition you to be soft, to seek comfort, to avoid challenge. Your environment will push you toward distraction, laziness, and mediocrity. And if you let it happen, you will never reach your true potential. You will stay stuck, always wondering why you are not as strong, as disciplined, or as powerful as you could be. But if you take control, if you start training your mind daily, if you begin pushing yourself into discomfort instead of running from it, everything changes. Your discipline will become automatic. Your focus will become unshakable. Your ability to endure hardship will become second nature. And soon, you will realize that nothing can stop you. Nothing can break you, because you have built yourself into someone who thrives in struggle, someone who grows under pressure, someone who refuses to be weak ever again. Right now, you have two choices. You can continue living like everyone else, letting life control you, letting weakness win. Or you can make the decision to start rewiring your brain today. You can choose to do something difficult, to challenge yourself, to embrace discomfort instead of avoiding it. And if you make that choice every day, if you stay consistent, if you refuse to quit, you will wake up one day and realize that you have become unstoppable. That nothing in this world can shake you. that you have built a mind that is stronger than anything life throws at you, and from that moment forward, you will never be the same again. Your thoughts shape your reality, whether you realize it or not. Every decision you make, every action you take, every outcome in your life, it all starts in your mind. But most people do not understand the power their thoughts hold. They allow weak, negative, and self-defeating thoughts to run on autopilot, shaping their lives without ever questioning them. And over time, these weak thoughts create weak actions, which lead to a weak existence. The biggest danger of weak thinking is that it does not always seem dangerous at first. It starts small, a single excuse, a tiny moment of procrastination, a brief flicker of doubt. You tell yourself it does not matter, that you will try harder tomorrow, that skipping one workout, one goal, or one challenge is not a big deal. But then it happens again and again. And without even realizing it, you have built a pattern of weakness, a life of compromise, a reality where your own mind is working against you instead of for you. Weak thinking is the root of all regret. Look at anyone who feels stuck in life, who looks back and wishes they had done more, been more, pushed themselves harder. Their greatest regrets are not the things they tried and failed at. Their greatest regrets are the things they never had the discipline, the courage, or the mindset to even attempt. Because weak thinking kept them trapped, they doubted themselves. They convinced themselves they were not good enough. They let fear of failure stop them before they even started. The mind is like a battlefield, and every thought is a weapon. The problem is, most people are using their own thoughts against themselves. They allow self-doubt to erode their confidence. They allow negativity to poison their drive. They allow procrastination to steal their time. And the more they entertain these thoughts, the more they strengthen them. A weak thought, repeated over and over again, becomes a belief. And a belief, acted on long enough, becomes reality. Negativity is one of the most dangerous forms of weak thinking. It does not just affect your mood, it affects your results. If you constantly tell yourself you cannot do something, that it is too hard, that you are not capable, your brain will accept it as truth. And once your brain believes it, your actions will reflect it. You will not push as hard. You will not take the risks necessary for growth. You will hesitate when you need to act. And in the end, your own mind will become your greatest limitation. Self-doubt is another silent killer of potential. Most people do not fail because they are not capable. They fail because they never fully believe they can succeed. They allow doubt to creep in, to whisper in their ear that they are not ready, not talented enough, not strong enough. And instead of proving that voice wrong, they let it control them. They take the easy way out. They settle for less. They never test their true limits. Procrastination is one of the most obvious symptoms of weak thinking. It is the mind's way of avoiding discomfort, of choosing short-term ease over long-term strength. Every time you procrastinate, you are reinforcing the habit of weakness. You are telling yourself that your goals can wait, that your discipline is optional, that your dreams are not urgent. And the more you do this, the harder it becomes to break free. The scary part is that most people do not even realize they are trapped in weak thinking until it is too late. They tell themselves they will start tomorrow, that they will get serious when the time is right. But the time is never right. There is no perfect moment. There is only now. And if you do not take control of your thoughts today, they will control you forever. Every thought you think is either making your mind stronger or weaker. There is no in-between. When you tell yourself you can push through, that you will not quit, that you are capable of more, you are strengthening your mental toughness. When you challenge yourself, when you refuse to give in to negativity or doubt, when you force yourself to act even when you do not feel like it, you are building a mind that cannot be broken. But the opposite is also true. Every time you let weakness win, every time you allow excuses, every time you give power to fear, you are making your mind weaker. And if you do it long enough, that weakness will spread into every part of your life. It will affect your confidence, your discipline, your ability to overcome challenges. It will dictate the way you live. Rewiring your mind starts with awareness. You have to recognize the weak thought. Your mind is either working for you or against you. It is either your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. The choice is yours. If you want to break free from weak thinking, you have to commit to it fully. You have to start rewiring your mind today. You have to start taking control of your thoughts, your habits, your actions. And if you do, if you stay consistent, if you refuse to let weakness win, you will wake up one day and realize that you are unstoppable. Because strong thinking leads to strong actions, and strong actions lead to a strong life. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort at all costs. They seek out comfort, ease, and convenience, believing that happiness comes from a life without struggle. But the hard truth is that easy lives create weak minds. The more you run from discomfort, the weaker you become. The more you avoid pain, the less prepared you are when life inevitably tests you. The most powerful people in history were not shaped by comfort. They were forged in hardship, in battle, in relentless struggle. They did not become strong by taking the easy road. They became strong because they sought out difficulty and overcame it. The most dangerous thing that can happen to a person is never being tested. If you go through life without ever being pushed to your limits, without ever facing true hardship, without ever being forced to fight for something, you will never know what you are truly capable of. And when the real challenges of life come, and they will, you will not be ready. You will break under pressure because you have never trained yourself to handle it. This is why so many people crumble when things get tough. They have spent their entire lives avoiding difficulty, and when it finally finds them, they are defenseless. True power comes from voluntary suffering. It comes from choosing discomfort before life forces it on you. The strongest people in the world do not wait for hardship to find them, they seek it out. They train their bodies and minds every day, pushing themselves to the edge, building resilience before they need it. They take cold showers not because they enjoy them, but because they train the mind to endure discomfort. They fast not because they have to, but because controlling hunger builds mental strength. They push their physical limits in training, in work, in discipline, not for the sake of suffering, but because they know that every moment of struggle makes them stronger. When you make struggle a daily habit, you become unstoppable. Every time you face discomfort and refuse to back down, you reinforce the belief that you can handle anything. Every time you choose the harder path instead of the easy one, you are training your mind to be resilient. And over time, this becomes who you are. You no longer fear discomfort, you embrace it. You no longer avoid pain, you seek it out because you know it is the price of greatness. Most people do the opposite. They avoid struggle at all costs. They take the easiest path available, never pushing themselves beyond what is necessary. They wake up late, eat whatever is convenient, avoid hard work, and seek out distractions to numb themselves from reality. And then they wonder why they feel weak, why they lack confidence, why they are constantly anxious and unfulfilled. They are suffering not from too much hardship, but from too little. Their minds and bodies are starving for challenge, for growth, for the fire that only comes from struggle. This is why people who have everything handed to them are often the weakest. They have never had to fight for anything, never had to endure real pain, never had to push through adversity. And as a result, they are fragile. The smallest setbacks break them. The slightest discomfort makes them panic. They have spent their lives avoiding difficulty, and now they are completely unprepared for it. They may appear strong on the outside, but the moment they face real pressure, they crumble. But those who train themselves for struggle are different. They do not seek comfort, they seek challenge. They put themselves in situations that force them to grow. They wake up early, even when they do not feel like it. They train their bodies until they are exhausted. They take on projects that stretch their limits. They say yes to things that scare them. And every time they do, they become stronger. They become the kind of people who do not break under pressure, who do not hesitate when faced with difficulty, who do not need external motivation to keep pushing forward. The path of voluntary suffering is not an easy one, but it is the only one that leads to true power. If you want to be powerful, you must make struggle a part of your daily routine. Do something every day that makes you uncomfortable. Wake up earlier than you want to. Train harder than you think you can. Take cold showers. Fast for a day. Push yourself beyond your limits. Do something that forces you to suffer, even in a small way, and do it consistently. Over time, this will change you. You will develop a level of mental toughness that most people will never understand. You will become immune to the excuses that hold others back. You will become the kind of person who does not break, does not quit, does not fold under pressure. Most people will hear this and ignore it. They will continue chasing comfort, avoiding pain, and making excuses for why they are not where they want to be. But a few, those who truly want to be great, will take action. They will embrace the struggle. They will push themselves beyond what is easy, beyond what is comfortable, beyond what is expected. And those few will rise above everyone else. The choice is yours. Will you continue seeking comfort, knowing it is making you weaker? Or will you choose struggle, knowing it is the only path to power? Will you take the easy way out, or will you force yourself to grow? Decide now, and then prove it. Most people think mental strength is something you are born with, something that only a few gifted individuals naturally have. But the truth is, mental toughness is not a talent. It is a skill that is built through relentless training and discipline. A mind that cannot be broken is not the result of luck or genetics. It is the result of daily choices, repeated actions, and an unshakable commitment to becoming stronger every single day. If you want to build a mind that cannot be broken, you must be willing to do what most people refuse to do. You must train yourself to endure discomfort, to push beyond your limits, and to refuse to accept anything less than your absolute best. The first step to building an unbreakable mind is mastering your mornings. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Weak people wake up whenever they feel like it, hit snooze, and begin their day in a reactive state. But mentally strong people take control of their mornings. They wake up early, regardless of how they feel. They train their bodies before the rest of the world is even awake. They start their day with focus, with discipline, with a clear plan. This one habit alone separates the strong from the weak. If you cannot control your mornings, you cannot control your life. Discipline in the morning is just the beginning. To build an unbreakable mind, you must challenge yourself physically every single day. The body and the mind are connected, and if your body is weak, your mind will be weak. That is why the strongest minds belong to those who push their bodies to the limit. They run when they do not feel like running. They lift when they do not feel like lifting. They endure pain, discomfort, and exhaustion because they know that every rep, every mile, every struggle is training their mind to be tougher. If you never test your physical limits, you will never know what your mind is truly capable of. But mental toughness is not just about physical discipline. It is also about training the mind itself. Weak people allow negative thoughts to take control. They make excuses. They let fear dictate their actions. They hesitate. They complain. But the strongest people in the world do not entertain weak thoughts. They do not allow negativity to take root in their minds. They recognize when doubt, fear, or weakness tries to creep in, and they shut it down immediately. They replace weak thoughts with strong ones. When their mind tells them to quit, they remind themselves that they are built for this. When they feel fear, they push forward anyway. They refuse to negotiate with their weakness. Setting extreme personal standards is another key to building an unbreakable mind. Most people set low standards for themselves. They accept mediocrity. They do the bare minimum. They make excuses for why they are not pushing harder. But the mentally unbreakable set standards that others think are impossible. They hold themselves to a higher level of discipline, of focus, of excellence. They demand more from themselves than anyone else ever could. And because of this, they become unstoppable. Mental toughness is not something you practice once in a while. It is not something you work on only when you feel like it. It is not a temporary challenge. It is a way of life. The world is filled with weak minds, people who break under pressure, who give up when things get hard, who crumble when faced with adversity. Do not be one of them. Train yourself to be different. Train yourself to be unbreakable. Wake up early, train hard. Silence weak thoughts before they take hold. Push yourself beyond what you think is possible. Hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else ever could. Most people will never do this. They will continue making excuses. They will continue seeking comfort. They will continue avoiding the hard work that builds real strength. But a few will take action. A few will commit to building a mind that cannot be broken. A few will become the kind of people who never quit, never back down, and never break, no matter what life throws at them. The question is, which one will you be? Will you continue living like everyone else, letting weakness control you? Or will you step up, take control, and start building a mind that can withstand anything? Decide now, and then prove it. Most people think mental strength is something you are born with, something that only a few gifted individuals naturally have. But the truth is, mental toughness is not a talent. It is a skill that is built through relentless training and discipline. A mind that cannot be broken is not the result of luck or genetics. It is the result of daily choices, repeated actions, and an unshakable commitment to becoming stronger every single day. If you want to build a mind that cannot be broken, you must be willing to do what most people refuse to do. You must train yourself to endure discomfort, to push beyond your limits, and to refuse to accept anything less than your absolute best. The first step to building an unbreakable mind is mastering your mornings. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Weak people wake up whenever they feel like it, hit snooze, and begin their day in a reactive state. But mentally strong people take control of their mornings. They wake up early, regardless of how they feel. They train their bodies before the rest of the world is even awake. They start their day with focus, with discipline, with a clear plan. This one habit alone separates the strong from the weak. If you cannot control your mornings, you cannot control your life. Discipline in the morning is just the beginning. To build an unbreakable mind, you must challenge yourself physically every single day. The body and the mind are connected, and if your body is weak, your mind will be weak. That is why the strongest minds belong to those who push their bodies to the limit. They run when they do not feel like running. They lift when they do not feel like lifting. They endure pain, discomfort, and exhaustion because they know that every rep, every mile, every struggle is training their mind to be tougher. If you never test your physical limits, you will never know what your mind is truly capable of. But mental toughness is not just about physical discipline. It is also about training the mind itself. Weak people allow negative thoughts to take control. They make excuses. They let fear dictate their actions. They hesitate. They complain. But the strongest people in the world do not entertain weak thoughts. They do not allow negativity to take root in their minds. They recognize when doubt, fear, or weakness tries to creep in, and they shut it down immediately. They replace weak thoughts with strong ones. When their mind tells them to quit, they remind themselves that they are built for this. When they feel fear, they push forward anyway. They refuse to negotiate with their weakness. Setting extreme personal standards is another key to building an unbreakable mind. Most people set low standards for themselves. They accept mediocrity. They do the bare minimum. They make excuses for why they are not pushing harder. But the mentally unbreakable set standards that others think are impossible. They hold themselves to a higher level of discipline, of focus, of excellence. They demand more from themselves than anyone else ever could. And because of this, they become unstoppable. Mental toughness is not something you practice once in a while. It is not something you work on only when you feel like it. It is not a temporary challenge, it is a way of life. Every single day, you must make the choice to be stronger than yesterday. You must seek out struggle. You must lean into discomfort. You must embrace the hard path, the painful path, the path that most people avoid. The world is filled with weak minds, people who break under pressure, who give up when things get hard, who crumble when faced with adversity. Do not be one of them. Train yourself to be different. Train yourself to be unbreakable. Wake up early, train hard. Silence weak thoughts before they take hold. Push yourself beyond what you think is possible. Hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else ever could. Most people will never do this. They will continue making excuses. They will continue seeking comfort. They will continue avoiding the hard work that builds real strength. But a few will take action. A few will commit to building a mind that cannot be broken. A few will become the kind of people who never quit, never back down, and never break, no matter what life throws at them. The question is, which one will you be? Will you continue living like everyone else, letting weakness control you? Or will you step up, take control, and start building a mind that can withstand anything? Decide now, and then prove it. Most people live as slaves to their emotions. They let fear stop them from taking action. They let anger push them into making reckless decisions. They allow stress to break them down instead of using it as fuel. This is the reality of the weak mind, completely controlled by emotions, reacting to every situation without thought, without discipline, without control. And this is exactly why most people never reach their full potential, because they are not in charge of themselves. Their emotions are, but the strongest minds in history, the warriors, the leaders, the legends, they operate differently. They feel the same emotions as everyone else, but they do not let those emotions dictate their actions. They remain steady in chaos. They stay calm under pressure. They do not break when things go wrong. This is the true mark of strength. The ability to control yourself when everything around you is falling apart. And the best part, this is a skill. This is something that can be trained. It is not about being emotionless. It is about being in control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. Imagine a warrior standing in battle. Arrows flying past, enemies charging, the chaos of war surrounding him. The weak-minded soldier panics. His heart races, his hands shake, his breathing becomes erratic. Fear takes over and he starts making desperate, irrational choices. But the trained warrior, he remains steady. His breathing is slow and controlled. His mind is clear. His body is ready, not frozen by fear, but fueled by it. He does not let the chaos affect him. He adapts. He reacts with precision. This is the difference between those who rise to greatness and those who crumble under pressure. The ability to control emotions is what allows people to make the right decisions when it matters most. In battle, in business, in life, this skill separates the powerful from the weak. The ability to stay calm when everything is falling apart is what allows a person to take control of any situation. The problem is that most people have never trained this ability. They have spent their entire lives reacting emotionally to everything. Something goes wrong, they panic. Someone offends them, they lash out. A challenge arises, they give up. They have no control over their emotional state, and because of that, they have no control over their life. But this can be changed. Emotional discipline can be built. It starts with awareness. Most people are completely unaware of how much their emotions control them. The first step is recognizing when emotions start taking over, when fear starts creeping in, when anger begins to rise, when stress begins to cloud judgment. Most people do not even realize it is happening until it is too late. But those who train themselves in emotional discipline learn to catch these moments early. They feel the fear, but they do not allow it to dictate their choices. They notice the anger, but they do not let it control their actions. They sense the stress, but they do not allow it to break them. One of the most powerful techniques used by warriors, soldiers, and elite performers is breath control. The body follows the breath, and the mind follows the body. In moments of stress, the weak allow their breathing to become shallow, rapid, and uncontrolled. This makes them feel even more panicked, even more out of control. But the strong do the opposite. They slow their breath. They take deep, controlled inhales and long, steady exhales. This signals to the body that there is no real threat. The heart rate slows, the mind clears, they regain control. Another technique is visualization. The greatest warriors do not just train their bodies, they train their minds. They rehearse high-pressure situations in their heads before they ever experience them in reality. They visualize themselves staying calm, thinking clearly, and executing perfectly. And when the real moment comes, their minds are already prepared. They do not panic. They have already won the battle in their mind before they ever step onto the battlefield. Discipline over emotions must be trained daily. It is not enough to practice this when things are going well. It must be tested in real situations. When someone insults you, can you remain calm? When you face a setback, can you keep moving forward without frustration? When things do not go your way, do you adapt or do you break? Every moment of your life is an opportunity to train emotional control. Weak people spend their lives being ruled by emotions. They allow anger, fear, and stress to control them. They make choices based on feelings instead of logic. And because of this, they fail, they regret, they stay weak. But those who master their emotions, they become untouchable. No insult, no challenge, no setback can shake them. They move through life with complete control over themselves. They dictate their reactions. They decide how they respond to every situation. And because of that, they always win. Most people will hear this and continue living the same way. They will allow emotions to control them just as they always have. But a few will take this seriously. A few will make the choice to become stronger, to master their emotions instead of being a slave to them. And those few, they will rise above the rest. The question is, which one will you be? Will you continue being controlled by your emotions, or will you take back control and become unshakable? The choice is yours. Now prove it. Most people believe that willpower is something you either have or you don't. They think it's a personality trait, a fixed ability that some people are just born with. But that is a lie. Willpower is not something you are given at birth. It is not a gift. It is a skill, a muscle, and like any muscle, it can be trained, strengthened, and built over time. The problem is that most people never train it. They never push themselves past their limits. They never put themselves in situations that require them to develop unbreakable willpower. And because of that, they stay weak. They give up at the first sign of difficulty. They quit before they even realize what they are capable of. Imagine two people standing at the bottom of a mountain. Both of them dream of reaching the top. Both of them want to see the view, to experience the feeling of accomplishment. But the first person looks up at the mountain and says, "It's too high, it's too hard, I don't think I can do it." And so they never even take the first step. They convince themselves that it is impossible before they even try. But the second person understands a simple truth. The only way to reach the top is to take the first step, and then another, and another, even when it hurts, even when they are exhausted, even when they feel like quitting. They keep going, step by step they climb, and eventually they reach the top, not because they were stronger or more talented, but because they refused to stop. This is willpower. The ability to keep moving forward, no matter how difficult the journey becomes. The ability to endure, to push past the limits that your mind tries to impose on you. Most people never develop this ability because they never put themselves in situations that require it. They live comfortable lives. They avoid struggle. Willpower is built through discomfort. Every time you push yourself beyond what is easy, you train your willpower to become stronger. Every time you refuse to quit when things get hard, you add another layer of mental strength. Every time you force yourself to keep going when your mind tells you to stop, you become tougher. It is no different from training a muscle. If you go to the gym and only lift light weights that do not challenge you, you will never get stronger. But if you push your muscles to the point of exhaustion, if you force them to work harder than they want to, they will grow. The same is true for willpower. Most people quit because they have never trained themselves to endure discomfort. The moment something becomes difficult, they back down. The moment they feel pain, they retreat. The moment they are tested, they fail, not because they are incapable, but because they have never built the strength to keep going. But those who train their willpower, those who put themselves through daily struggles on purpose, they develop an unstoppable mindset. They become the type of people who refuse to quit, no matter what. So how do you build indestructible willpower? The first step is simple. Stop avoiding discomfort. Every time you take the easy way out, every time you quit when things get hard, you weaken your willpower. But when you start embracing difficulty, when you start forcing yourself to endure discomfort, you begin to strengthen it. Cold showers, fasting, waking up early, pushing yourself in training, these are all tools to build willpower. They put you in controlled discomfort. They force you to override the weak voice in your mind that tells you to stop. The second step is consistency. You cannot build willpower by challenging yourself once and then going back to comfort. It must be a daily practice. Every single day, you must do something that forces you to push past resistance, something that requires you to use willpower. Even if it is small, even if it seems insignificant, the act of pushing yourself when you do not want to is what builds real strength. The third step is setting rules for yourself and never breaking them. Willpower is not just about enduring physical challenges. It is about self-control. It is about having the discipline to follow through on what you say you will do. If you say you are going to wake up at a certain time, do it. If you say you are going to work out, do it. If you say you are going to stick to a certain diet, do it. The moment you break your own rules, you weaken your willpower. But when you hold yourself to a higher standard, when you refuse to compromise, you become unstoppable. The strongest people in the world are not the most talented. They are not the smartest. They are not the luckiest. They are simply the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who keep pushing when everyone else gives up. They are the ones who have trained themselves to endure suffering without breaking. They are the ones who understand that willpower is not something you are born with, it is something you build. Most people will hear this and continue living the same way. They will keep avoiding discomfort. They will keep quitting when things get hard. They will keep living with weak willpower because they refuse to train it. But a few will take this seriously. A few will decide that enough is enough. A few will choose to start strengthening their willpower every single day. And those few will rise above the rest. So ask yourself, which one will you be? Will you stay weak, or will you start training your willpower like a warrior? The choice is yours. Now prove it. Most people live their entire lives trapped by their own weakness. They have dreams, ambitions, and goals, but they never reach them, not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack talent, but because they lack the mental toughness to push through resistance. They give up too soon. They let distractions win. They allow their emotions to dictate their actions. But what if, for just 30 days, you removed all weakness from your mind? What if, for just 1 month, you lived with absolute discipline, no excuses, no distractions, no compromises? you would see a transformation unlike anything you have ever experienced. This is the 30-day challenge to eliminate mental weakness. A challenge designed to rewire your brain for discipline, focus, and unstoppable resilience. It will not be easy. Most people will quit before they even start. But those who commit, those who embrace this process, will come out of it stronger than they ever imagined. For the next 30 days, every aspect of your life must be structured around one goal: eliminating weakness. That means no more sleeping in, no more wasting time, no more indulging in bad habits that keep you weak. You will train your mind like a warrior, testing your limits every single day. This challenge is broken into 3 key areas: self-discipline, controlled hardship, and focus sharpening. Self-discipline is the foundation of everything. If you cannot control yourself, you cannot control anything in your life. For the next 30 days, you will follow a strict schedule. You will wake up at the same time every day, no matter how tired you feel. Controlled hardship is where real mental toughness is built. Most people avoid discomfort. They seek the easiest, most convenient path in life, but this is exactly why they stay weak. If you want to build an unbreakable mind, you must put yourself through daily suffering on purpose. Every single day of this challenge, you must face controlled hardship. Cold showers to shock your nervous system and teach you to override discomfort. Intense physical training, pushing your body beyond its limits to build resilience. Fasting to teach your mind that hunger is just another test of your discipline. Voluntary discomfort is the key to true strength. By putting yourself through struggle now, you will become immune to it later. Focus sharpening is the final piece of the challenge. In today's world, attention is the rarest and most powerful resource. Weak people are constantly distracted, unable to focus for even a few minutes without reaching for their phones. This challenge will force you to train your focus like a muscle. For the next 30 days, no mindless scrolling, no unnecessary entertainment, no pointless conversations that drain your energy. Instead, you will practice deep work. You will set clear daily goals and execute them with complete focus. You will read, study, and train your mind to stay locked in on one task for extended periods. Meditation, journaling, and self-reflection will become a daily practice. The goal is simple: take back control of your mind. By the end of these 30 days, you will not be the same person. Your body will be stronger, your mind will be sharper, and your discipline will be unshakable. But here's the truth: most people will not make it. Most people will quit after a few days. They will find excuses. They will say it is too hard. They will fall back into their old patterns. But for those who stay committed, for those who refuse to quit, this challenge will change everything. This is your chance to prove to yourself that you are not weak, that you are not like the rest, that you are capable of more than you ever thought possible. The only question is, are you ready to commit? If so, the next 30 days will be the most powerful transformation of your life. No more waiting. No more excuses. It starts now. Most people will never know what it feels like to live with absolute strength. They will never experience true discipline, true focus, or true resilience. Not because they are incapable, but because they are unwilling. Because choosing strength requires sacrifice. It demands that you let go of comfort, that you step away from the easy path and into the fire of challenge. And the question is, are you truly ready for that? This is the final test, the moment of truth, the point where you must decide whether you are willing to commit to the life of strength or whether you will retreat back into the arms of weakness. Understand this: most people will choose weakness. Most people will hear these words, feel a spark of motivation, and then do nothing. They will tell themselves, "I'll start tomorrow," or "maybe I don't need to go that far." And that hesitation, that delay, that small moment of doubt is all it takes for weakness to win. Weakness is seductive. It whispers in your ear, telling you to take it easy, to rest, to relax. It tells you that struggle is unnecessary, that discipline is too extreme, that there is always more time. But weakness is a liar. And if you listen to it, if you let it in even once, it will take over. Because weakness thrives on hesitation. It grows stronger every time you postpone action. Every time you choose comfort over growth, it wraps itself tighter around you, making it harder to escape. That is why this decision must be made now. Right now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Are you willing to embrace the life of strength? Because if you are, then the rewards will be beyond anything you can imagine. This is not just about becoming tougher. It is not just about pushing through one challenge. This is about building a life where nothing controls you, where no situation, no person, no emotion has the power to break you. Imagine waking up every morning with absolute clarity. Imagine never second-guessing yourself, never hesitating, never feeling lost or weak. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing someone you respect, someone you trust, someone who is completely in control of their mind, their body, and their destiny. That is what the life of strength offers, but it does not come for free. The cost is your comfort. The price is your old habits, your old excuses, your old way of thinking. You cannot hold on to weakness and expect to be strong. You cannot cling to distractions, laziness, and instant gratification and expect to build an unshakable mind. You must burn it all. You must be willing to sacrifice the easy life for something greater. And here's the reality: most will not do it. Most will take the easy road because it is familiar, because it is safe, because it requires nothing of them. But those who do commit, those who take the hard path, will be rewarded in ways that others can only dream of. They will become untouchable, unbreakable, free. So here is the final challenge. Stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and ask yourself, am I ready for this? Am I ready to become the strongest version of myself? Am I ready to destroy the weakness that has held me back? And then make a choice. Because there are only two paths in life: the path of weakness or the path of strength, the path of excuses or the path of discipline.